This is Chiropractic Marketing FM, an on-demand talk radio show that covers internet marketing best practices for chiropractors. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick MacNamara. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 14 of the Chiropractic Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick MacNamara, and today we're starting a brand new series that'll cover everything you need to know about marketing your practice in 2019. Now, I know that sounds like a tall order, but if you'll stick with me, I think you'll agree. As a matter of fact, if you apply the concepts I'm about to cover, you'll quit doing 99% of the things you're currently doing so you can focus on the one thing that'll get you better results. But before we get started, I want to thank DC Rank for sponsoring today's episode. DC Rank is the #1 chiropractic SEO service provider for chiropractors. They help chiropractors triple traffic to their chiropractic websites from search engines like Google in 90 days or less, without using shady tactics that'll get you banned from Google or spending a small fortune on things that simply don't work. So if your chiropractic website isn't getting the traffic it needs to convert leads into new patients, then you owe it to yourself to check out DC Rank today. You can either hire them to manage all of your SEO needs or learn how to dominate your market for chiropractic by pre-ordering their newest course called SEO for Chiropractors. And if you pre-order today, you'll save $200 off the original price. But just remember, this is a limited time offer and expires soon, so head on over to dcrank.com for more information. All right, let's get back to the show. As mentioned, this series will cover everything you need to know about marketing your practice in 2019. And the good news is, it only takes 3 simple steps to complete. But before I walk you through the steps, we need to cover some prerequisites. First off, you're going to learn more about online marketing over the course of this series than most chiropractors will ever know. As a matter of fact, if you're overwhelmed and frustrated right now with your marketing efforts, this is really going to help. It's going to be the big shift you've been looking for, because when you realize that there are only 3 things you need to do to succeed online, you'll start getting better results. To quote Steve Jobs, "Simplicity can move mountains." Simple is hard, though. Simple is not easy. Simple is a measure of complexity, whereas easy is a measure of effort. So I'm going to be upfront and tell you, doctor, that marketing isn't easy, but I can make it very simple for you. So here's the bottom line. If you've ever asked yourself, why does marketing have to be so hard? This series is for you. If you've ever found yourself confused, frustrated, or fed up by all the experts, gurus, and information that's just floating around on the web that doesn't seem to fit together, this series is for you. And most importantly, if you don't have in place right now an automated system that generates qualified leads on demand, in other words, if you can't go spend $1 on Facebook and get $3 to $10 back, then this series is definitely for you. Does that sound good? Great. Then let's get started. I want you to get out a piece of paper and write down what you feel is the hardest part about online marketing. I want to make sure that what I'm going to cover is directly calibrated to you to help you with your biggest struggles. So just write it down. What is your biggest struggle right now? If you could wave a magic wand and absolutely not have this friction in your life and your business, what would it be? What's the biggest struggle? Doctors in the past have told me that the hardest part for them was not having the right system in place, or not knowing how to get started with marketing in the first place, or having difficulty being consistent, or struggling with how to do advertising. So to overcome all of this, you need to realize that there are a few things you need to put in place that'll help you overcome your frustrations and tech overwhelm. Since we have a lot to cover, we're going to move through these quickly, but don't downplay them because they're extremely important to the grand scheme of things. First off, you need to have the right mindset. You need to have a mindset that can help you immediately remove the mental obstacles and frustrations so you can work on taking action. The reason why this matters is pretty obvious. As a matter of fact, we've already touched on it. Most people have information overload. You are drinking from a fire hose, consuming blogs, podcasts, courses, ebooks, checking out the latest tools and software. But it's time to take a break because all of this just causes overload. You are only taking a bunch of pieces from different jigsaw puzzles and dumping them in front of you on a table and trying to make a strategy. That method simply doesn't work. There's also tech overwhelm and tech confusion. You're asking yourself, what tools should you use? What software should you use? What should you do first? Who to listen to? There's so much misinformation, bad information, too much information on the web that we feel like we are drifting in our business. Drifting in the open ocean aboard a vessel without a radar. This causes you to look for the next new patient in reactive mode, which only repels them away from you. To be successful, you need to shut off the fire hose and go from drinking too much information to doing the right steps in the right order. Use the limited amount of time and money you have and spend it on the simple things that are going to make all the difference in the world. Instead of dabbling in social media, blogging, Facebook ads, and SEO, you need to focus on an overall strategy that's been proven to work. An analogy I like to use regarding this is something I call the climb. If you want to go from point A to point B and really exceed your business goals, you first need to empty your backpack. The last thing you need to do during a rapid ascent is to fill your backpack with things you don't need. You have to stop multitasking and subjecting yourself to information overload in order to adopt the right mindset. You have to shift the way you look at growing your business to a much simpler model. You have to get calm. You have to go on an information diet, which means you have to adopt what I call learning on demand. This approach allows you to focus on the one thing you should be doing right now to grow your business with clarity and helps you kill everything else. You need to do this even while driving your car. Turn the radio off and think about what you're doing and be in the moment. Don't consume more information. So the first thing I want you to do is to go on a 90-day information diet and totally get calm. You also need to get clear. If you don't know where you are going, you are never going to reach your destination. You have to define point A. In other words, ask yourself, where are you in business right now? You have to know exactly what your numbers are in terms of practice stats. Then ask yourself, where do you want to be in 90 days? What does success even look like? Do you want to just get more new patients, or do you want to leverage yourself and automate your business? What does the future look like? Now, the way I help chiropractors define point A is through a tool I call the 7-figure lead flow roadmap. This tool helps my clients assess where they are right now and determine what they should be doing to not only hit, but exceed their goals. The first stage is struggling. In this stage, you've already got an office open, but you're barely surviving. As a matter of fact, you have more bills coming into your practice than you do new patients, and that's a problem. You need to figure out how to get a steady stream of new patients into the practice without going into more debt. And you need to figure this out fast. Otherwise, you'll be out of practice and possibly facing bankruptcy before the first year of your chiropractic career comes to a close. The second stage is surviving. In this stage, you've made it through the first few lean years of practice without closing your doors. You're paying your bills, but that's about it. It seems like your practice is growing, but you're not 100% sure. The only thing you are sure of is that if you stop spinning all of these plates, your practice is going to come to a screeching halt. You need a system that streamlines things and puts your marketing on autopilot, but you're too overwhelmed with all the information out there that you just keep plugging away with your ineffective website. The third stage is thriving. You get leads and have a predictable number of new patients coming in, but you feel stagnant. It's like you're staring through a glass ceiling. You know where you want to go, you just don't know how to get there. This stage is similar to the second and can easily scale to the next level once you implement a system that puts new patients on autopilot. But you might be restless because you're not scaling and growing your business to its full potential. The fourth stage is driving. You've been at it for a while and are a true accomplished entrepreneur. You're in total control of your business and have an on-demand flow of leads. Since you've quote unquote figured it out, the services I provide wouldn't really benefit you much. My suggestion to you is to focus on people. Your main goal should be building a world-class team so that you can develop partnerships, scale your business even more, and/or build a franchise. But to be quite honest with you, most of you who are listening to this podcast today are either struggling or only surviving. To advance, you need to put together a simple marketing strategy that'll help lift you into the next level without breaking the bank. So let me ask you, doctor, where do you stand on this roadmap? Are you struggling, surviving, thriving, or driving? Or can you tell me what lead flow you're currently in? Are you in a drought, trickle, flow, or flood? You need to know these things so that what I'm covering is calibrated directly for you to help get you to the next level. My suspicions are that you are in one of the bottom two steps. If so, make sure you finish this series, because by the time we're done, you'll know the strategy that gets my clients to at least step 3. That's my promise. By the time you finish this series, you're going to know exactly what to do to get to at least step 3. In other words, to go to a flow. So you have a flow of leads to totally flood that drought. Sound good? Cool. Let's keep going. So we have to get calm, we have to get clear, and we also have to get confident. Now, let me ask you this. How confident would you be right now if I said, hey, here's a junkyard, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go through this junkyard, find all the parts necessary to put together a car. I want you to assemble a vehicle and then drive it out of here. Well, what are the chances of you doing that successfully? How much time would it take? And even if you were a gifted mechanic, would this be the best way to spend your time? That's what marketing is like for you right now. You're trying to do it without a plan that works, a plan that outlines specifically step by step what to do. Listen up, because this is the first aha moment. I want you to really pay attention because this is going to set the stage for everything else we cover. In order to successfully market your practice online today, you need a set of instructions, a set of proven blueprints that are reproducible in any market. Now, you may be asking yourself, what's a blueprint? Well, it's simply a plan or model of what you want to see happen in the future. It gives you a defined set of instructions or a basic structure to work with towards success. And it's very simple. But if you don't have these blueprints, marketing can be very frustrating. Think about it this way. How do most professions get from point A to point B? Well, they have a built-in roadmap with ready-made blueprints. A good example of this are medical doctors. As a medical doctor, you start med school, you show up to class, you take some exams, you graduate, you do an internship or residency, then you become part of the system. It's already set up for you, so you just go with the flow. But not for chiropractors. Think about it. For chiropractors, there's no model. There's no mold. Schools just tell you to show up for class, try your best, get out into practice, struggle, and maybe you'll make it. So the blueprint I'm going to give you in this series provides a straight line to get from point A to point B. It's the mindset piece, and it helps you to stay calm, clear, and confident no matter what type of market you practice in. So that covers the prerequisites. In the next episode, I'll introduce the simple 3-step formula I use with my clients that help them grow their practice on autopilot. But before I sign off today, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. Just click on the links found in today's show notes, or simply go over to iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, or Stitcher and search for the Chiropractic Marketing Podcast. Last but certainly not least, I'd appreciate your review of this podcast over at iTunes. It not only helps build awareness of what I'm talking about, but also gives me a good indication on how I'm doing. Be nice, be fair, but definitely be honest. I would greatly appreciate it, and so will future listeners. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time.